Praise Lord. Thank the Lord for this wonderful morning time. I also can't believe it's been 6 years since I've come here, and it's just been so wonderful to be with all of you all throughout these years. I remember I was brought to this church by Gloria Chechi at that time, and I remember I was like so shy and all in one corner of this church. But then everyone was so friendly. Everyone used to come and talk to you and introduce themselves to you. So over the time, it kind of became like my family, all of you guys, and I really thank the Lord for that. Um, uh, so I'll be sharing few things. Mostly I won't take 45 minutes, but then I'll be sharing few things, whatever I learned in my 6 years through my testimony. So hope it would be an encouraging for you all. So first, I remember you can change to the next slide. First, when I remember when I was has in my first year, I remember when Shalinji was about to leave, Joy's sister, when she was about to leave, she was, talking on her last day. She was telling how much she didn't like being in ICPF, when during her teenage life, she didn't like going to ICPF camps and all. She used to be very shy going. And I related to her a lot because I was not a person who wanted to take up any responsibilities myself because I was like a very shy person. I didn't like interacting and all. My sister was just the opposite. You guys all know her, right? So she used to go while I used to sit back in my room. But I really thank God that God put me right in the correct place. He put me in an ICPF church only instead of a camp. And I really thank God for that I could come here, and God slowly enabled me to take up a lot of initiatives for the church, completely for the glory of God. Many a times, I used to see my seniors at that time, like there were so many, and they used to take up responsibilities with their whole heart and soul. It doesn't mean they would also have hectic schedules. Lots of them were PhD. They were studying for PhD only, and it was really hectic for them as well. But then, in spite of all of that, they used to always take time for the Lord to take up some or the other responsibility for the Lord. And their encouragement also used to be a big blessing for my life, and that's how I also started standing up and sharing whatever God put in my heart these years, and I really thank the Lord for that. There's what do you say? So firstly, I just want to thank Past Uncle for giving me the opportunities to take up various programs and taking up worship. These and all things I would never even imagine in my life to do, but then I really thank God that they gave me the opportunity to also. And many a times I have not been worthy enough to stand in the presence of God to speak about him. I'm not worthy enough to do that, but I feel that all the opportunities God gave me was just a learning step to learn. God was trying to teach me something or the other through all the opportunities God has given to me. And it's just not that I'm just not thankful for these opportunities. I'm also thankful for all the background activities also that we could do. I thank Chechi for letting me take tank and give all of you guys after church. I thank God that I was able to serve food for you guys after after our programs and everything. So all of that I consider it as a great honor. It is a great blessing for me in my life. So this is just like a small encouragement for you all, that whatever you do, be for the glory of God. So 1 Corinthians 12 verses 6, it says, have I put it up in the slide? Yeah. There are different kinds of working, but in all of them and in everything, it is the same God at work. So whatever big or small you do, do it for the Lord. It may not be that you might be in the limelight every time. You might not be in the front of the stage, but whatever you do at the behind also, it is for the glory of God. And need not that like all of us will have all talents, right? Some of us are very good in speaking. Some of us can like interact very well. Some of us are very silent like me. But some of us are very good in listening, and some of us are good in praying. So whatever you're good at, God has given that to you, so that you use it for His glory. So I still remember actually once Kelvin used to tell me ki he didn't like that he was very talkative, because he felt that he used to put himself into trouble because of that. But God has given particular qualities to all of you guys, so that you use it for the Lord. And I pray that that whatever qualities God has given to all of us, that we could use it for the Lord. Okay. Now coming to the next thing, is obedience to God. Next slide. Obedience to God. Okay. Now this is something that's like it's like a long process. It doesn't like come in one go. Okay. So three things that came up in my mind when I was thinking of obedience to God. First is willingly living according to God's principles, God's commandments, aligning our choices with the way God expects us to. And for that we need to seek God's guidance for that. So see, obedience to God is like not something that we can get in like one go. It's everyday process. Okay. So you guys all have parents, right? So you are all obedient to Him out of the love, out of the respect you have for them. So once we see Jesus as our Father, you will automatically have that necessity to obey Him, to show that respect to Him. So that will help us, in gradually, being obedient to God. It was difficult for me as well. It was a very long process. I had lots of problems within myself also, which I had to get straight with God. But God taught me gradually that, showed me the places that I was wrong. They showed me the places where I have to correct myself, and God enabled me. Okay, so so while Jesus was on earth, He itself is a perfect example of how to live as a child of God. Okay, and many of them being letting go of our sinful nature. So God has given us examples how to live as a child of God. God has also given us things that we are not to do, to be a child of God. So many of them being, our sinful nature. Oh, there was one thing, there was a verse that, that God showed me in James chapter 1 verse 22. It says that, next page, next slide. It says that, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive ourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says, it is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror, after looking at himself, goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. So that was like a, like the verse Bible says, double-edged sword piercing through my soul. So that is when God actually, made me realize that, okay, what I am going, whatever I'm hearing in church or in meetings, am I able to put it up in my life? Or am I just, just letting it go through 1 year? Many of us, whenever we are in camps, we are in meetings, we always have this book pad with us. We write down notes and everything. But then, do we ever take the time to go back and maybe look through those, whatever we have written, or apply what it was in our lives? So that was like, this was a verse that kind of changed my perspective towards God's obedience. So coming to the sinful natures. So Galatians 5 verse 19 to 21, it lists a lot of sins according to the Bible, which Jesus has said to get rid of. Okay, so many of them have been discussed like in great amounts in our camps, in our meetings, addictions and bad relationships and all of that sort. So like I would just want to like say like a few, just a little small thing from my side regarding these kind of temptations. Like at an age like this, it is very normal to have such challenges faced in your life, because you might be at a teenage age or in a college age where you want to like explore something new and find out things and all of that. So so it's like very normal, like even I have experienced it in my life. But it is what God wants to say, that these are all your weaknesses points, but God uses these weak points in your life as his opportunity to display his strength in you. Okay, so whatever what you say, sins you're struggling with, just submit it into the hands of the Lord, because God will take care. See, God is not going to judge you for what you are doing. You just need to be just be honest with him and come to him and just pour out your whatever difficulty you're facing, is just pour it out into the hands of the Lord and just commit it into the hands of the Lord, and ask God to help you out to come through it. Okay, because God will eventually, God is capable, and there is no temptation in this world that God gives you that you cannot bear or that you cannot tolerate. Okay, so always pray for it, that you would be able to come out from whatever sins that you are facing from. And better from all of this is to flee. Whenever you have to recognize that these are sins. Okay, so always whenever you see a sin coming, it is better you flee. So this is the reason why all of our elders keep on saying don't fall into this, don't fall into this. The same reason being because they know the consequences of it. That is, you jump into a deep hole, you are not going to come out. It's difficult. So it is like that. Once you jump into this, it's like sin is a deep hole. You jump into it, it's never gonna it's going to be difficult for you to come out of it. So always recognize your sins and flee. I think 2 Timothy says, flee from youthful passions. Okay, yeah. So these topics are something that we usually discuss in all of our camp meetings. Now, some topics which I feel like we don't discuss much, and something that I face personally a lot in my life is being controlling our tongue. Okay, so I was a person way back, very short-tempered person. I had no idea who I was speaking to. I used to be very ruthless, aggressive person. But God actually brought a change in that in my life as well. James chapter 3, if you see, it itself speaks a lot about the power of the tongue. Okay, one second. Yeah, so James chapter 3 verse 5, it says, a tiny spark can get a great forest on fire, and the tongue is a flame of fire. It is a whole world of wickedness, corrupting your entire body. It can set your whole life on fire, for it is set on fire by hell itself. So this was a thing, that really talked to me, because it is a thing that not only destroys your life, anger, or using your tongue to hurt someone, or using bad words, something that will eventually hurt someone. So these were some things. So this doesn't just destroy your life, it doesn't just take away the blessings from your life, it puts on curses, and it hampers the relationships that God has given to you. So it is something that you should nurture, with love and kindness and gentleness. But just by the use of our tongue, which is a very powerful organ, it destroys everything. So that time God just told me to, one day, like, while I was praying, God was like, just think, what would I have done in your place? So that's when, I was just looking through, and, I was just thinking, the situations whenever the hypocrites used to come to Jesus, find a way somehow, to imprison him or, mock him. He used to always speak back in a very calm voice, and he used to use wise parables. Most of the times, he used to remain silent. So these are like, God itself Jesus itself is an example of, how you ought to be with the people around you. Sure, you might get angry for a good reason, for a bad reason, but let's just submit it all into God's hand. Okay, and eventually, if you ever hurt someone, let's just ask God that, God would give us uh, the the willingness to, maybe go and ask forgiveness from them, which is very hard, which is something that I also face a lot, is to, go and ask forgiveness. So yeah, so that was something that God taught to me. Other being gossiping. Okay, so gossiping, it's a college. A lot of things go apart from, like, a lot of rumors come here and there. So Proverbs 18 says gossiping is like a dainty morsel, basically stale food. It is for the fools, because the whole point of you gossiping is like, just you're speaking about one person. You say to the next person. The next person adds little more masala and put it to the next person. So at the end of the day, the last people who hear it is just some made up story, fabricated story. So so that is something, that again God had told me, which I used to do as well also. But and it starts off unintentionally also. Okay, but God taught me that through a tit for a tat. So if I gossip, someone will gossip about me. So when someone gossip about me is when I understood how much it will hurt. So yeah, another thing that God told, that is that when one person confides in you, be it a believer or a non-believer, whoever confides in you, there are, many things that they might not want to share it to others, but they share it to you, is for you to maybe uphold them in prayer, or that they could talk it out to you and solve the issue out. So it's not something for you to go and discuss it with others. So how will we find a solution for this? It is with you, God, that person, and whoever is concerned about that situation. So this is also very important, that when one person confides in you, make sure that it remains amongst you and that person and not goes around. Okay. Now, next being pride. Okay, so pride was something like that kind of struck me during my last university exam, I think. Firstly, like, whenever I submitted like my education into God's hands, I gave everything into God's hand. That, Lord, you help me out in my education. Whatever I do will be for your glory. Okay. So I really thank God for giving me the opportunity also to come into this profession and study also. But eventually, as the years went by, I was like feeling like, okay, I've got a hang of this. I'm getting pretty good at this. As the years passed, I was like, okay, first year I got a distinction, second year I got a distinction, third year I got a distinction. So final year also I'll get a distinction. So this was like, in my, this was going in my head. Even though I was praying, Lord, you need to help me so I can say a testimony. But then, maybe within myself, I was being very overconfident that, okay, I'm not giving it into God's hand. I'm giving it to myself, thinking that I might, I'm the one who has the wisdom and everything, okay. But that day God taught me a very good lesson. He did not give the distinction that I wanted. So so that day God again, reminded me of, how nothing is from ourselves. Everything is from the Lord. Whatever we have earned in our life, it is from the Lord. It is because of His wisdom, His knowledge from heaven above that has been poured upon each one of us. And it is only because of that, even I am standing right now, finishing my MBBS, is only because of that, and only because of His strength alone. And at the end of the day, it is not your name, but God's name be glorified in it. So that day He reminded me again. He was like, who was I? So I serve a God who was very humble. He came to the earth also in a manger between the cattle. He was a carpenter's son, right? And He washed His disciples' feet. And He died on the cross, which was a sign of shame. So if my God was this humble, why can't I be, right? So so that was another thing that God taught me. This is all. It's not like a one-step process. It took me years and years, but I thank the Lord for this church, because all of this, what I'm saying right now, I have written it in like my notepad, where whatever you guys speak, or whatever Pastor Uncle speaks, or whatever the what do you say, we have special guests who come. So whatever you guys speak is what I written it all in my book, in my phone. So these are just all small things that I took out from. So that's what. So obedience to God, next page. Obedience to God an is an everyday commitment, not a one-time effort. Okay. So you remember the story of Ruth and Naomi, right? So when what do you say? Naomi's two daughter-in-law, Ophrah and Ruth, when the famine hit, and I think when they were traveling back from Moab to Israel, was when, Naomi was like, now my sons are not there, you guys all go. But then Ophrah did go, but then now Ruth stayed back with Naomi, and she was like, Ruth 1 verse 16 says also that, like, wherever, wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you die, I will die. So Ruth was Ruth was very closely attached with Naomi. Okay, so that is what God also expects from us. It's not just the title that matters. You are the son of God, the daughter of God, doesn't matter. Okay, what you do consistently every day is what matters, because you ought to do what a son of God would, what a son of God should do, or you ought to do what a daughter of God should do. Okay, so yeah. Okay, coming to the next is the will of God. Okay, so we have all come to this earth, and we all, as Christians, we all have this purpose in our life, which God has given. God will show or has shown to all of us, and it is very important that we seek to know His will honestly, through prayer. So always, whatever, like, whenever I think of will of God, always Acts chapter 1 verse 8 comes. It's the great commission given. But you will receive power, but the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you will be my witnesses, telling about people about me everywhere in Jerusalem, through Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. So this is a very great commission that God has given for all of us to evangelize, very important for us to tell Jesus to the people around us, and like we all have learned various models of evangelism, but like another thing that I think we already discussed this is, how important it is to be a reflection of Christ wherever we go, because sometimes that's how God sees you, like that's how the people in this world will see you also. So whatever corner of this world you go, let Jesus be reflected you in your life. So whatever Jesus has taught in His life, be reflected on you, being, like I said, to be humble in your life, to have a heart of compassion for the people who are sick, who are poor, who are needy, to have patience in the midst of mockery, to have a heart of forgiveness to the people who hurt you, to speak the truth, to serve the people around you, to lend a hand of prayer to people who are, suffering. Our campuses have lots of people who have lots of troubles with anxiety and depression and addictions and suicidal temptations. Like I think most of us who are like, who are in medical field knows that. Okay, so always, like, let's just offer a hand of prayer to them, make them know that that you are praying for them, and that God is there to carry out all their burdens and worries unto Himself, and He loves us in spite of our flaws, in spite of us not being so perfect, and that we don't have to be pure to be in front of God. We just need to come with an open heart to God. So these are the ways that that we could be a reflection of God in our lives. Okay, coming to like just a small testimony of my brother. So he was he's my mother's sister's son. So he was, at a very young age, he was diagnosed with eye cancer, okay, retinoblastoma it is called. And so at that point of time, they couldn't figure it out, that he had this problem also. But, but by the time they did figure this problem out, he had advanced onto a very severe stage. Like his full body had metastasized with full cancer. And at that point of time also, Nathan used to be someone who used to be like, I don't want treatment. He'll be like, my God will heal me. So his faith was so, like so powerful. Maybe at that point of time, I never realized that faith that he had, but he was just completely, believing into God. He was like, these are the words he says. Even though I become deaf, dumb, lame, I won't give up on Jesus, guys. 9-year-old child who said this. I don't know, like at that point of time, I wouldn't have this kind of a faith, but yeah, slowly God did taught me, after Nathan died also, when I was thinking, why God took Nathan away from our lives. But his faith was an example to a lot of people. People who were very broken in their life, they came to know Jesus through him. And maybe I feel that was his will, that was the will of God in his life. And once that was done, he was taken away from us. But I really thank God for my brother's life. He's just been an inspiration to me. And that's how I started praying to God for, that God, you show me the will that you have in your life, that I need to have in my life. So I started slowly started turning my prayers from a shopping list to actually wanting to know what's God's purpose in my life. So ever since a child, I have seen a lot of suffering and sicknesses in my family. Like there were times when a lot of my family members were very bedridden. So I wanted to do something, like I always wanted to take up something that would serve the people who are sick, pray for them, or, show the healing touch of God to them. So I always used to pray to God that, Lord, let me be in a profession that I can meet such people. And slowly God started hearing my prayer, and he started replying me back also through lots of verses, messages. Like I feel like every New Year message is something God's telling it to me. So like, so every time God used to give me things, through verses, messages, even visions. And sometimes when people used to pray for me, they used to like say exactly the things that I used to see in my vision. So I understood that it was just God, speaking to me, and just telling that he's there in my journey throughout. And it's just amazing how God speaks to you. So it kind of it reminded me of Joseph's obedience to God, or Esther's obedience to God. They were brought as a slave, but there they were so steadfast into their faith in God that God raised them from a slave. Joseph became the Pharaoh of Egypt, and when Esther obeyed God, she became the queen of that place. I don't know what was that place, I forgot. Okay, but okay. So that's how it is like, when you submit yourself, when you submit whatever you're doing into the hands of God, God will raise you in places where you don't expect to be raised. There'll be situations where people will compliment you, and there'll be people better than you also. There'll be situations when people start complimenting you, seeing you, because ultimately you are carrying the wisdom that God has given to you in your life, right? So I just wanted to sum up the will of God is that always pray to God to know God's will in your life. Ultimately, it is to preach the good news to the people around. Acts chapter 1 verse 8. And whatever you do, submit it first to God, and God will help you through it. He has helped me wonderfully through it. I was a very average person. I did not know mere division also. I always tell that to my friends. And but God raised me just to broaden my knowledge and become better in what I do. And it is only because of the glory of God. And always give him the priority first. Like, I know like majority of you are always like that. I know you guys might have exams, you guys have lots of submissions and everything, but like I see all of you guys, not taking that as the first priority and always giving God first. And I continue and encourage you guys to do the same as well. I'm telling you, like majority of our Christmas programs landed on the correct date when I had university exams, okay? And I used to freak out because it's like a big exam. So, but yeah, so even at that time, God never used to allow me to say no. I used to get this itchiness, that you don't say no, you have to take it up. But I'm telling you, in all those places, God has just like blessed me so much. It's in none of my exams I've like come back feeling disappointed because I felt the presence of God every time. Yeah, so lastly, I just want to thank all of you that, yeah, starting from my seniors to juniors, you guys all have been a big blessing to me. I just, coming and seeing all of you, you give that big smile and that hug, and then how are you, Chechi? And it makes up my day for that day. It's just so wonderful to just meet you guys every day, and it's just a blessing. Even your testimonies, the way you work for the Lord, it's just so wonderful to see. And I am itself an inspiration of how you guys are for the Lord. And I continue and urge that you continue to do the same. And I thank Pastor Uncle Chechi for opening this place for all of us, even for me personally, because I wouldn't have grown more into the knowledge of God if it wasn't for this church. It was like a training school for me, to just make myself better into knowing God's word. And I just want to say a few things about Chechi. Chechi is just this, like a mother-like person for me. Every day coming to church and just telling her all my weekdays, how my week went, it like lessens all my burden. It was like that. And I just really thank Chechi for just being there for all of us. Every time she has cooked for us, I thank Chechi for that. And many a times, I sometimes I think, like why do it's just their love is so without any condition. Times when they would just pack something in the tiffin and come all the way there just down my hostel with the kids. Adun 3 kids they have, and bringing all them together, it's like I feel it's a task, but they still do it. I really thank God for that. Like it's just the love of God that you have in your life to do something that also we are not your children, but still you do it for us. I really thank the Lord for that. I pray that God blesses both of you. I pray that God blesses the kids, that you would just be like, you both are like a mighty shepherd for all of us, I continue that God uses both of you to just shepherd this place so wonderfully like you always do. Yeah, and I ask for forgiveness if I have shouted or said anything bad to anyone. I'm really sorry. Yeah, and yeah, that's all. Just be kind and helpful people to everyone around you, and just be, Jesus' tiny people wherever you go. Spread His word, and whatever first fruits you get from your hard work, always remember it to give first to the Lord. Your tithes are very important because our church runs on that as well. So it's very necessary that whatever hard work, whatever fruits you have, God, you give it to the Lord, because eventually it is the Lord who gave you the wisdom to come this far. So I hope it was an encouragement for all of you. God bless you all.
Thank you, Alexis, for wonderful testimony and sharing from God's word. I'm not going to preach. Next Sunday we will be having our ICPF General Secretary James George sir. So I request all of you. Some of our people will be going for Forge. All others, please come. Saturday we will be having a short meeting with Dr. James George, and Sunday also he will be here with us for our service. Our ICPF General Secretary, he will be visiting us for 2 days, and I have a news for all of you. I don't know whether I can add the adjective good or bad, but I have a promotion